In this presentation, I will discuss reasons why guidelines for citations are not only useful, but ethical, introduce the idea of plagiarism and how you can avoid it, and talk about a few things to be careful of when formatting your research paper. In school, we generally get a lot of practice writing other people's ideas in our own words. But what is meant by using your own voice? Whether you're writing or speaking, your words should tell others a little bit about who you are, as well as who your target audience is. In other words, if your paper is about your career goals and your intended audience is your family and friends, the tone of the paper will be different than if your target audience is a prospective employer. Always write with the intention of talking to someone in particular. If you don't have a target audience, there really is no reason to write. There's one thing I want to forewarn you about when it comes to summarizing articles. If you copy and paste content from a website page, and I'm assuming that you would only do that with the intention of eventually summarizing the content you've copied, if you paste that content into the document you intend to submit for the assignment, the original website's formatting will often interfere with your formatting. My advice is always to type your content. If you don't, you will find yourself at some point wondering why you can't change the font, or why you can't get it to align to the margins properly, or why you can't apply the proper indentation. The answer will be simply that you are unnecessarily fighting the formatting that was used in the original source document. Having uniform standards such as the MLA style requirements for writing research papers allows readers to have an expectation that certain critical research components will always be identified. As researchers, the items listed are details we need to know in order to verify how credible a source of information is. You're not expected to memorize the details required to cite your sources according to MLA style guidelines. However, you are expected to read the guidelines carefully and apply them as you cite your sources for any article you summarize. For a lot of us, writing clearly and logically does not always come easy. Given that, it should be clear why we need to attribute other people's ideas to them and not simply present them as our own original thoughts. Plagiarism is almost as easy to do as it is to get caught doing it. In this day and age, most information has been documented in electronic format. Consequently, it's cataloged in some database somewhere. No matter how private you think your writing is, if you published it to a text message, email, discussion board, assignment Dropbox, and the list goes on, it can be traced back to you. Just as your writing can be traced back to you, other people's writing can be traced back to them. Consequently, it's getting easier and easier to identify plagiarism, and that's a good thing. The MLA requirements for a works cited page is very detailed. Therefore, it's easy to make mistakes. The best thing to do is have a copy of the guidelines right in front of you as you format the page. In other words, no one is expecting you to remember that article titles should be followed by a period and enclosed in parentheses. Also, another warning. If the source of an article is nice enough to have a link to a citation for the article, don't assume it's correctly formatted. Verify it against the style guidelines.